Supporters of the team, the moment has arrived to embrace the adrenaline, and let's start a debate. Let's get straight to the point. Recently, the focus on our daily content about the team has attracted an impressive number of followers, which is very gratifying. For those who have yet to join us, your consideration is more than welcome. Your support for this content matters, and your opinions are always valued. Today's featured topic is the upcoming 2025 season. Experts already point to the possibility that the team will reach the playoffs and perform beyond expectations. To begin, it's worth highlighting a projection suggesting that, according to one analysis, the team should secure around 9 wins. That tally would place them in the wild card round. This scenario assumes that one team will lock up the division lead, setting up a wild card matchup between that team and another. Other clubs will also be in contention. And it may seem premature, but who do you think will punch their ticket to the playoffs next year? Some reflections may be pertinent, and solid arguments can be made about how this team can reach the season's final phase. First, it's worthwhile to look back at last season, even though it may not be the most pleasant trip down memory lane. The previous campaign was indeed fraught with challenges. Despite moments of hope, there were disappointments, particularly along the offensive line. Examining last year reveals obvious obstacles. If you follow this content, you know that our general outlook tends to be positive. However, there were stretches when belief in our chances felt palpable. Yet the offensive line struggled, the receivers underperformed, and the defense showed vulnerabilities. It's essential then to revisit the games from last season. The team managed to win a few matchups, and the contest against Seattle was close enough to qualify as a victory. The first divisional clash was disappointing, falling short of expectations. The loss to a California team was a hard blow, and the Florida game was frustrating. There was potential to win. Moving on to the second encounter with another division rival, the team earned a triumph. Another divisional contest could have yielded an additional win. The sequence of games included some victories alongside several letdowns. In the end, one could argue the squad might have finished with 8 or 9 wins. That may sound speculative, but many of those games were decided by narrow margins, and the team had real opportunities to close them out, yet couldn't overcome the obstacles. Red zone offense proved troublesome, and issues persisted along the line at receiver and on defense. Injuries only compounded the difficulty. That inconsistency was painful to witness. Yet, when reflecting on that frustrating season, it becomes clear that football often boils down to a handful of decisive plays in games that could have had very different outcomes. The hope that this team will return to the winning path is shared by many, and conversations about the future are already underway. Maintaining consistent performance throughout the year was a tall order. Everyone knows that. However, if you view last season as one defined by a few critical plays that swung games and say, football can hinge on specific moments, and it could have turned out much differently, that's a valid perspective. Now, I can't guarantee that this group will indeed notch 8 or 9 wins. That's not my claim. What I want to emphasize is that last year's team was disappointing overall. Moreover, if they lose the final game against New York, they'll secure the first overall pick in the draft, marking them as the league's worst team. Yet, they showed competitiveness in many matchups. In fact, in some games, they shouldn't have been competitive, like the first showdown with New York or against the Rams, another playoff team. Watching the game versus Seattle surprised me, as Seattle underperformed. The main point is this: considering a much stronger team facing a similar schedule, I believe they will fare far better. Therefore, aiming for 8 or 9 victories doesn't seem unreasonable, especially given how many games were decided by a few points last year. Looking at next year's slate, assuming for argument's sake that they won't sweep the division and will drop both games to New York, let's examine the home opponents. Take Cleveland, for example. Who will be their quarterback? Let's count that as a win. Imagine the home game against Miami also as a victory. The Falcons situation is intriguing. They boast young talent, but can they gel and perform? I see the Falcons game as a win too. The Giants are in turmoil, so another home victory there. The first Jets matchup is another win. That's 5 already. You might think I'm being overly optimistic at home, but hear me out. I'll add the Panthers as a win. After that, a loss to the Steelers and a home win over the Raiders. That brings us to 7 wins so far. Now, analyzing the road slate, one could argue that the Saints are another uncertain team, as are the Titans. That would push us to 9 victories. And this without factoring in the Jets or Dolphins, 2 squads with their own quarterback questions. Can their QB sustain a high level this year? Will injuries and concussions strike again? As for the Jets, the question is whether their signal caller truly stands out. Looking at last season's stats from a renowned quarterback, he confidently claimed that others' MVP years were his worst. When comparing his passing numbers with those of a standout player, we see that, though not identical, they're quite similar. Of course, his rushing stats differ, but plenty of QBs in this league would do anything to reach his passing numbers. Thus, I don't see the Jets or Miami making a significant leap. That still brings us to 9 wins. Now we must root for the Patriots if they chase a playoff berth to pull off some upsets against stronger teams. New York will face the Bills twice, and the Steelers, for some reason, always find their way into the playoffs. It's as constant as death and taxes. The Steelers make the postseason, even when their play is lackluster. If the Bills can win at least one of those matchups, that would be fantastic. I don't know, but I sense this team has faced so many hurdles that eventually they'll overcome them. It's only a matter of time. On the other hand, the Bengals are determined to win. They lost to a Patriots squad that struggled. The Buccaneers remain a formidable team gearing up for another playoff run. The Ravens have the potential to claim the top spot again. So challenging games lie ahead for the Bengals, Bills, Buccaneers, Ravens, and likely the Steelers. 5 teams in total. If they manage to win 1 or even 2 of those matchups, we can start discussing their playoff prospects. It's hard to imagine the Dolphins or Jets outpacing this revamped Patriots roster. Last season, New England beat Miami once and also downed the Jets. They nearly got a second win over Miami. Now they have a real shot. They participated in more close games than many anticipated. If we take that core and significantly improve it, as we have, while facing a similar schedule, I believe they will surprise many and could secure a wild card spot, possibly finishing second in the AFC East. This is a rejuvenated team across all phases with a much stronger offensive arsenal. Prepare for some surprises. What are your thoughts? How many wins do you envision for them? It may be premature to declare, but as we approach the end of training camp and move into the preseason, this conversation will resurface. I've noticed a growing number of optimistic articles, with many believing the Patriots have a concrete chance. What do you think? At this moment, there are several positive developments surrounding New England. Do you share this enthusiasm, or do you remain skeptical? Leave your opinions in the comments. What are your current expectations for the Patriots and their playoff aspirations? Yes or no? Justify your reasoning. Recently, one player was honored with a Patriots Hall of Fame vote. A truly well-deserved recognition for someone who ranks second in franchise history with 620 receptions, fourth with just under 7,000 receiving yards, and ninth with 36 touchdowns. A 3-time Super Bowl champion, he earned Super Bowl 53 MVP honors against the Rams. That should never be forgotten. Interestingly, I watched that game with friends who root for the Falcons, recalling Super Bowl 51 and that remarkable catch at the end of the fourth quarter. It's truly astonishing. He deserves that tribute, as does the return specialist. We can also look at a recent college signee. Could he become the next great slot receiver? Of course, we still have young talent in the mix. What are your thoughts on that? I see no reason for dissatisfaction with this addition. So feel free to comment on the Patriots' prospects. Will they reach the playoffs this year? It's early to say, but it makes for an interesting debate. Share your stance for or against. Thank you all. Let me know what you think. See you soon. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to Patriots Hub and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our New England Patriots. And don't be shy, share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the NFL, quarterback Aaron Rodgers has confirmed his transfer to the New England Patriots. The announcement, which came earlier today, marks a dramatic shift in the league's power dynamics and promises to reshape the future of one of football's most iconic franchises. Rodgers, a 4-time NFL MVP and Super Bowl champion, leaves behind his brief but headline-filled tenure with the New York Jets. His time there was cut short due to an Achilles injury sustained just 4 snaps into his debut game in the 2023 season. Despite his limited action on the field, Rodgers remained a central figure in league discussions, known not only for his elite talent, but also for his outspoken personality and intense media presence. Now, the 40-year-old veteran brings his experience and leadership to a Patriots team in the midst of rebuilding following the departure of legendary coach Bill Belichick and the inconsistent performances of recent seasons. New England, long accustomed to excellence during the Tom Brady era, has struggled to find stability at the quarterback position. With Rodgers now under center, fans are hopeful for a return to playoff contention. Rodgers' arrival in Foxborough is being hailed as one of the most significant signings in recent Patriots history. The move suggests the organization is committed to returning to its winning ways under new head coach Jerod Mayo, who now has a proven star to lead his offense. While questions remain about Rodgers' health and how well he'll adapt to a new system at this stage in his career, few doubt his ability to elevate the team's performance. The AFC East, already one of the most competitive divisions in football, becomes even more intriguing with Rodgers joining the Patriots. Showdowns with his former team, the Jets, and fierce rivals like the Bills and Dolphins are now must-watch events. As training camp approaches, all eyes will be on New England to see if Rodgers can deliver the spark the Patriots have been missing. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our New England Patriots, be sure to subscribe to Patriots Hub and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.